Today's video is going to change how we organize data in Python. We are diving into list, one of the most powerful sequence data types that let you store multiple values, update them anytime, and even slice them like we did with strings. By the end of this video, you will be using list like a pro. Hello learners, welcome to your learning hub, The Learning Loop. I am Swati Sharma and this is the 11th video of my beginner-friendly Python course series. If you are joining me for the first time, thank you for dropping by. And if you haven't checked out my previous videos yet, I would highly recommend you to go back and check those out so that you are all caught up. If you have been following me along, you are already aware that we are currently exploring sequence data types, and so far we have covered strings. Today we are taking the next step and we will be exploring list, one of the most commonly used data types in Python. So, without a further ado, let's dive in. A list in Python is used to store multiple values inside a single variable. What makes list really useful is that, unlike strings, list can store different types of values together: numbers, strings, booleans, or even other lists. Let's quickly understand how you can create or declare a list in Python. For today's demo, I'll be using Google Colab. I also wanted you guys to be a bit familiar with Google Colab. So we will be using Google Colab, which is very much similar to Jupyter Notebook. It's just that it is in the cloud environment. Alright, so first we will see how to declare or create a list in Python. So let's say I create a variable named list1. Obviously, we would name the variable the way we do it, put equal to, and in order to create a list, you always use square brackets. So for list, we will always use a square bracket. So anything in the square bracket would be considered as a list. Now you can declare as many variables into it you want to. For example, you can, let's say I declare a string type here. Let's say anyone's name. That's my name, Swati. And then we can declare a number, any float number, a boolean if you want, anything, and it will store all the data types into it. It could be combination of multiple data types. And once I run it, it will create a list. I believe it is connecting and allocating the resources, so taking some time. It's connected. Let's run it again, and you can see this has been declared. And if I just put list1 and then run it, you would be able to see the list has been declared. We can also see what data type is, what is the data type of this particular variable list1. Obviously, we will write print, and then say type, and then we'll write list1. And you can see the class is list. Just like in strings, lists are also ordered sequence, or they are ordered data types. The values are in an ordered manner, which means every element in this particular list has a position number or an index number. In our example, Swati, the first variable or value would have an index number 0, then 30 would have 1, then 2 and 3. Let's try and access and see how that would look. Let's see, I wanted to access anything that is at 0th index position, and you can see, it is list 1. I'm going to do this, and you can see it is giving me output Swati, because that's what we have at the 0 position. Same ways, if you want to see any other position, you can write list, or let me just change it. Let's say 2, and I can check that. Same ways as we had in strings, negative indexing is also supported in lists. So you can write list and then let's say -1. And that's a list 1, I'm sorry. And obviously you can, list is a reserved keyword, so we cannot have list as a variable name. That's one of the naming rules that we have for variables, and you can check that video out if you're not aware. I will paste the link anywhere above. I'll run it, and you can see it is fetching the list from in the reverse order, and the same ways. True is at -1, 15.5, 15.4 at -2, 30 at -3, and Swati at -4. When you're doing a positive indexing or normal indexing, it will start from the index number 0. But when you are doing a negative indexing, it will start from -1. Please remember that. Same ways, the slicing is also supported in lists. So if I want to fetch the list partially, the slicing works the same way it did in the strings. So just reiterating how slicing works. So in order to have a part of the list, not the complete list, we will, the first option is start, semicolon stop, semicolon step, where start tells us from which index number you want to start including that, including the elements in the list or elements in the output. Stop would tell you where you have to stop, and or you have to stop including anything. And remember, if you want to include the 5th element, the stop should be 6, because if you want to add anything at the index number 5th, it will stop at 6, and it will, the 6th position or whatever we had at the 6th index number would not be included in my slicing. And the next one is step, which will tell like after how many steps the output should be included. So we will take that with, or check that with an example. For example, I want to start the list not from the 0th index but for 1. So I write 1, then semicolon. Let's say I just want to have 30 there and do not even want to include 15.4. So obviously that would be 2. And then I just don't want to take any steps, that 1. So I can just do 1 semicolon 2. And if I'm taking a default value of step, I can skip writing that. So you can see only 30 is included in this output. Let's try another slicing example. To list 1, and then let's say I want to start from the 0th position, right? And so I'm going to put semicolon. So anything that's there by default, you can skip writing it. So 0 and the very end position of that list should be a default value. So if you put semicolon, semicolon, it would be say the whole list should be included, start from 0 and go until the end of the list. And let's say by default the step is 1, which means take 1 step and include that. For example, Swati, then include 30, then include 15, then include true. It is taking 1 step. Let's say I change it to 2. So now whatever is at the 2nd step, that would be included in our output. So it's starting from 0, so that should be included. That's Swati. Then, to 2nd step, that is step 1. This is the 2nd step. So 15.4 would be included, and it would stop at that, because the next step is, it wanted to include everything at 2nd step, and we don't have anything. So only 1 value should be, 2 values would be there, Swati and 15.4. Let's run it, and you can see that we have that output here. Now, one of the key difference between strings and list is that list is mutable, which means we can change the elements that are there in the list. For example, let's say I want to change. I want to change the value that we have at the 0th index. I will just write list 1, put the index number that I want to change, and then I'll change the value. Let's do that. Also, I will try and fetch the output. So I'll do this, and you can see the first element in that list has been changed. So unlike strings, lists are mutable and these can be changed. One more thing I would like to share about list is that we can have duplicate values in list. That is like, let's say 1, 1, 1, and then 2, 5, 6, 6, and then it maybe can again 1. And this is important when we are actually going to learn about tuples and sets. So remember that in list, you can have the duplicate values as well present. Now let's understand how we can remove or add values in the list. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm just going to add the topic here, add or remove values in the string. And yep, it's a heading here. Now we are first going to see how we can add the values. Says that. We would be checking append and insert function for that. Okay. So first let's see how to add value using append. Let's say I wanted to add one more value to the list 1, and let's say I wanted to add the name back. I want to keep the other name Usha as well. So I'm going to do list 1.append Swati, and if I'm using append, everything would be anything that I want to add would be appended at the end of the list. So let's try and run this. You can see Swati has been added. However, if you are using insert, with insert we can also tell at what index number you would like to add a value. For example, as I say, I do dot insert and I want to add the value at index number 1, and then I wanted to add the name Hari. And I'm going to also check the values once I have added it, and you can see this is 0 position, and I have listed that at 1 I want to add the value, and at the position 1 the value Hari has been added to the list. Alright, and you can see I think while I was checking few things, I added Swati 2 times, multiple times. Duplication is also there, and that's fine. But let's see how we can remove the values from the list. And we would be using 2 functions, remove and pop. So let's see first the pop function. It is more or less, I will say, similar to append, just the difference that append added anything at the end of the list, pop would remove anything that's end of the list. So if I do list 1 dot pop, and that's all, I don't have to put anything, and then I do list 1, you will see we have 2 instances of my name here, Swati, and one of them would be removed. As you can see, it's true Swati. Now the last one has been removed. So anything that's at the end of the list would be removed using pop. With remove, I can actually control what I would like to remove from the list. So if I do list1.remove and give the value, let's say I want to remove Hari from the list. Right now it's Usha, Hari, 30, 15.4, True and Swati. And if I do this, and then I am going to check now, you can see Hari has been removed from the list. Now if you again try to run it, obviously it would give you an error because that value does not exist in the list right now. Let's see other functions. You can also delete the items in the list using the delete function or del function. You just need to do list1 and then give the index number here, let's say 0. So I'm removing the very first element or very first value in the list, that's Usha. So I'm going to do list1 and run it, and you can see the very first value in the list has been removed. Let's say I want to clear all the values in the list. So all I'm going to do is do list1 dot clear, and it is going to remove all the elements in the list. Let me just try and get the output, and I'm gonna run it, and you can see this is an empty list because I use the command list1.clear, which removed or cleared all the elements from the list. Now let's go over one of the most important topics, that's append versus extend. So now we are aware that if we use append, it is going to add anything at the end of the list, right? Extend is also going to do the same thing. So if I do list1 is equal to, and okay, I think it was giving me automatically. Yeah. So I'm going to do that. It gave me the values, and let's say now I want to append. I will do list1 dot append, and let's say I append the name Usha, and I do list1. You can see Usha has been added, and if I use extend right now, it is again going to add that at the end of the list. Let's say I do Hari, and I'll do list1, and you can see it has added, but it has added it as each element or each character in the list. And that's the very big difference between append and extend. So when you're using an append, it is going to add the element as a one single element, like I added string as Swati, or I'm sorry, Usha, and it is added as a one element in there. It took it as one element, added at the end of the list. However, if you use the extend and you try and add any element to it, it is going to add it as different elements in the list. So what it did, so instead of, so this is as 0, 0, index 0, index 1, 2, 3, and this was added at 4th index. So when I did extend, it did not add it at the 5th index. Instead, it added all the characters at 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th positions. So it is going to add the elements in that particular string as different elements in that list. Now that is really useful when you are using a list in list. For example, let's take example for that. Let's say I put an example list in, let's say list and list, and say is equal to, and I add 1, 4, 5, 7, whatever, and I just stop and I just say list and list, and that's there. Now let's say I add a list at the end of this list. Okay, so I'll do, just gonna list in this dot append, and I'm going to add another list to it, right? So just to be a bit faster, okay, right, and added this list, and I'm going to check how it is added. So it is added as one element at the end of the list at whatever the position. So it was 0, 1, 2, 3. So at the fourth position, the whole list is added as a list. However, let's say I do not want to add this as one element in the list. I want to add the elements as elements in the list. I mean, I do not want to add 7267 as a list, but I want to add them as values in the list. Then I would use the extend function. So let's say I do list in list dot extend, and now I have added the values, and let's use the same values actually. 7, 2, 6, 7, and now do enter and this, and you will see that this has been added as the elements in the list as 7267 as different values in the list. So that is the difference between append and extend, and it is very, very useful when we are writing the programs in future, the functions. Right now and it is also a very widely asked interview question. So if you are appearing for an interview, this is one of the questions that is really famous, the difference between append and extend. So you need to know that when we are using append, it is going to be added as one element and at that particular index in the list. If you're using extend, it would be added as different values in the list or different elements in the list. Let's quickly recap what you have learned today. By the end of this video, now you aware what do you mean by list, how you can declare a list in Python and can access elements or values from the list. You're also aware how you can modify or change the values in the list and that the lists are mutable. You're also aware how you can delete the elements from the list or how you can add the elements to the list. We also covered one of the most important topics, that is the difference between append and extend in the list. I would also like to go over today with the exercise of the week. We learned about the negative indexing, we learned about the slicing, we learned about the indexing. So I'm going to show you list on the screen, and I would like to know how you can actually reverse the elements in this list. If you know the answer or if you have figured out the logic, please go ahead, share the answer in the comment box. Before we wrap up, I would also like to go over what I would be covering in my next upcoming videos. In the very next video, we would go over our third sequence data type, that's tuple. And once we have learned about that, I would be going over the last sequence data type, that's range. Once we have covered all the sequence data types, we will start with the set data types, and we will cover the very first data type in it, that's set. That's it for today, guys. If you like my content, please like, share and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram for daily Python tips. I'll see you guys in next video. Until then, happy coding!